I now call upon the Honourable Ms Selwood.
Thank you, Mr President. We stand here on a place that was invaded, sovereignty was never ceded, and no treaty was ever signed. First Nations people have been treated violently, they've had their children stolen, families separated and their lands continue to be destroyed. There was in fact an example of this week, with neither the Liberal Party nor the Labor Party listening to the concerns put forward by First Nations communities who brought up serious issues around the Great Artesian Basin. The Liberals claim that they're delivering a promise by bringing this bill to a vote today, but they don't really have a mandate from the South Australian public. The Liberals had a 16% swing away from them with the policies that they took to the election. Maybe instead of pursuing bills like this, the Liberal Party could be reflecting on what went wrong for them at the election and looking at why their policies didn't resonate with the voting public. The Liberals have proposed that they will replace the Voice with a committee of parliamentarians, non-Aboriginal people who will impose their own views on what is best for First Nations people. I don't claim to stand here as a voice of First Nations people. I can't be their voice as a non-Aboriginal person. I recognise how many times in this chamber we make decisions on behalf of people whose lives and experiences we don't share. We can't always be a voice for all of them. But for First Nations communities, they have generations now of things being done to them, not with them. Too long, they have had non-Aboriginal people deciding what they think is best for them, without consultation, without even understanding their law, their culture, their practices, that they have lived by and evolved over tens of thousands of years. I do my best to learn as much as I can from First Nations people, but I would never claim that I know what's best without living their experiences. I'm informed by what they tell me, and many people have reached out to me after the Greens were the only people talking about First Nations issues with relation to the Roxby Downs indenture bill. This is why we need a First Nations voice to Parliament. We need to hear from First Nations communities directly. We need their voice in our Parliament. We should recognise their knowledge and culture. South Australian Aboriginal Community-Controlled Organisation Network convener, Scott Wilson, told InDaily that in his view, this bill is racism. And I quote, "The Liberals, their first point of business is to try and repeal the voice to Parliament, and what for? If that's not racism, I don't know what is." He continues, "Abolishing mechanisms that let Aboriginal people be part of a democratic process, to get rid of that is silencing our voice, which is a form of overt racism." The Uluru Statement from the Heart was a statement created by First Nations people as a call to all Australians. I won't read the full statement here, but it's moving, and it describes the impacts of colonisation across multiple First Nations communities. There were three key pillars to the call made by that statement: truth, treaty, and voice. You won't often find me congratulating this government. I'm not really a fan of them at all. But I do think that the South Australian Voice to Parliament was a moment of leadership from this government. And I do recognise the role of the Deputy Premier in making it happen. While I'm saying some rare positive things about the government, I'll also commend them for including funding for a treaty commission. The Greens remain committed to the Statement from the Heart and as a direct call from First Nations people. Since coming to this place, it's becoming increasingly evident that the colonial structures that govern this place are not always compatible with First Nations ways of communicating and making decisions. We need alternative systems that can work with First Nations people to make decisions that affect them. The Greens made substantial comments on the day this landmark bill was moved in this place, so I refer people to the comments by the Honourable Robert Sims on that day for a full picture of the Greens' position on the First Nations voice. But on this bill today, we stand firm. We will not support this culture war that the Liberal Party are bringing to us. We will instead continue to work towards the three pillars of the Uluru Statement from the Heart. We will continue to work towards real outcomes to close the gap and improve outcomes for First Nations people, but we will not allow their voice to be taken away.